Welcome to the Trellix Spotlight series. My name is Nick, and I will be your host. Today's session will focus on Trellix Agent for Linux best practices. This webinar will be recorded. If you prefer not to participate in the recorded session, please feel free to disconnect at this time. A link to today's recorded presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. This webinar is a brief overview covering common use cases and scenarios regarding this topic. It is not intended to be all-encompassing. If assistance is needed, please contact Trellix Technical Support. If you have questions during the webinar, please type them in the Q&A window. This webinar may run longer or shorter based on your participation, and we recommend asking as many questions as you can to make the most of this series. If the Q&A window is not displayed, click the tab at the bottom of your session window and click on the Q&A icon. We will answer the questions during the final section of this webinar. If you experience any audio issues during the webcast, please drop and attempt to reconnect. Our speakers today are Revathi R. and Nitisha Awasthi. Revathi has worked as a technical support engineer with expertise in Trellix Mac and Linux products with over 5 years with the company. She is currently delivering support and content creation for all Mac and Linux endpoint products globally. Nitisha has over 4 years of experience with Trellix products. She specializes in supporting non-Windows platforms and is currently providing support for all Mac and Linux endpoint products. Ladies and gentlemen, Revathi and Nitisha.
Thank you, Nick. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining today's session. I'm Nitisha, joined by my colleague Revathi. Today, we are going to talk about best practices for Trellix Agent on Linux platform. Before we dive into the details, let's quickly outline what we will be covering today. We will start with Trellix Agent introduction and its system requirement, installation process, installation of Trellix Agent on an SE Linux environment, understanding agent server communication, provisioning and unprovisioning of agent health check, understanding product deployment and updates, and at the end, we would be concluding with generic error and its resolution. Let's start with our first topic to understand what is Trellix Agent. Trellix Agent is a crucial component of Trellix Endpoint Security solutions. It's nothing but a client-side component of Trellix EPO, which acts as a bridge between EPO and the endpoint. It also serves as an updater for the Trellix product. Machine can only be managed through EPO if they have agent installed on it. The agent can help us in multiple ways, and few of the pointers are listed below. It can help us to upgrade the product and install the products on the clients. It also helps to update the content packages like MED for Linux and Mac operating system and Aimcore for Windows. It enforces policy and scheduled tasks on managed system. It collects information and events from the client and send them over to EPO. Moving on to the system requirement, Agent does have its hardware and software requirement for the installation. It supports two types of processor. The first is Intel dual core and the second is AMD dual core with a minimum speed of 1 GHz. It requires minimum 512 MB of RAM. Installation directory of Agent should have at least 50 MB of free space, and Agent also supports FIPS mode, which is Federal Information Processing Standard from version 573 and later. Please note when Agent is installed on incompatible OS, the install will fail and an alert will be sent to the system log file. We discussed about Trellix Agent system requirement. Now let's see the process how Agent can be installed on a system. For installation process, the first thing to check is OS compatibility, which can be reviewed in KB 51573. If we look at the KB, we can get the entire details with regards to Trellix Agent product release, supported Windows operating system, supported Mac operating system, supported Linux operating system, and many more further details. Upon checking the compatibility, if we found that the OS is compatible, in that case, we can decide on the installation type. Trellix Agent can be installed in two ways. Either it can be deployed through EPO or a standalone installation. If we are proceeding with the standalone installation, It can be further achieved in two ways. Either we download the package from the product download site and have it manually installed on the system, or extract the package from the EPO and then have it manually installed on the system. If at all the OS is not compatible with the Trellix agent, in that case, you can submit a product enhancement request with CSM or Sales Account Manager. This flowchart demonstrates the process how Trellix Agent can be installed. Let's quickly see it in demo. As you can see, for now, I do not have any systems which are reporting to EPO. The first way of agent deployment we learned is deploying it through EPO. Before we move on to the deployment, we should have the package and the extension checked in. I'll go to software catalog and search with the keyword agent. And as you can see, it is showing as Trellix agent up to date. That means the package is already there. Now let me proceed with the deployment of the Trellix agent. I'll go to new system. I'll go with the first option, which is push agents and add system to the current group. Here, I'll provide the IP address of the affected system. Select the platform as non-Windows and then choose the required package which you want to install. I'm going forward with Trellix Agent for Linux 582 and provide the system credential. Once the credentials are provided, you need to click on OK. And as you can see, the system entry is populated over here, but it is in unmanaged state. So it will take some time for the agent to deploy on the client machine. Meanwhile, let's create an agent installer package from the EPO and install it on another Linux machine. For that, I will go to the system tree. Choose the fourth option, which is create and download agent installation package. Again, the platform is non-Windows. And I will choose the package Trellix Agent for Linux 582 and click on OK. So it has given us the link to download the installer package. I'll click on that and download the package. So here you can see the package is downloaded. With the interest of time, I have already moved the agent package on one of my machine. So let me check the package. So here you can see the package is already there. I'll unzip it. And we can see we are having the installer script, which is install.sh file. I'll provide the required permission and execute the script. While executing, I'm using the switch-i, which is used for the fresh installation of agent. If you are upgrading from any previous version, you should use the switch-u. So the installation is going through. So here, as you can see, Trellix Agent install upgrade succeeded. The installation is completed. Let's verify the packages. You can see the packages are there: MFE CMA 582, MFE DXL 603. Let me clear the screen and check for the services. So we have Trellix Agent services running on the system. Going back to EPO, let's see. Okay, so here this was the machine where I have deployed agent from EPO. So now you can see the agent installation has completed and the machine is in managed state. If we'll go to the product details, you can see the agent 582 is installed with DXL of 603. Now let's see how we can install agent in an unmanaged environment. For that, you need to go to Trellix product download site, log in the website with your grant number and email address. And once the page is login, in the search bar, you can search with the keyword agent and select Trellix agent. On the right hand side, if you click on installation, it will show you all the installers. So this is the package Trellix Agent for Linux standalone install we have to download. And once the package is downloaded, move it to your Linux machines. I already have the package moved into my machine. This is the package TA582 LNX. I'll unzip the file. We can see the installer is there. I'll provide the required permission to the installer. And execute it. Again, I'm using the switch as -I because it is a fresh installation of Trellix Agent. The installation is going through. And the installation is completed. We can see the entry that agent Trellix Agent install and upgrade succeeded. We can see the package and check for the services as well. So here the agent is installed and services are running. On this demo, we discussed that how we can install agent in a normal environment. But if in case our environment is SE Linux enabled, we have a different procedure to configure the TA policies. Before we move on to that, let's discuss the basics of SE Linux. We'll see how do we install Trellix agent on an SE Linux enabled machine. Let's quickly understand what is SE Linux. It is a security mechanism implemented at the kernel level for application processes and files present on the system. It only allows access based on the SE Linux policy rule configured. It is having three different modes. The first is enforcing mode. It enforces the policy rule and allows access based on those policy rules. The next is permissive mode. It only logs those actions that would have been denied running in enforcing mode. It's basically a diagnostic state where SE Linux policy are not enforced onto the system. The third is disabled mode where no policies are loaded into the kernel. Trellix Agent also being an application support SE Linux policy and we do have an outlined procedure for the same. Let's quickly see it in action how these policies can be configured on the system. I have Red Hat 9.3 machine and I have already deployed agent on this. Let me verify the agent version. So I have agent 582 already installed on the machine. And with regards to the SE Linux package, I have already downloaded it and moved it to the machine. Let me navigate to that location. This is the package and it can be downloaded from the Trellix product download site. Let me unzip the package. And as you can see, it is having different installer based on the OS versions. So here I'm using RHEL 9.3. So I'll go with EL9. The installation is going through. So as you can see, it started giving the entry, successfully loaded the SE Linux policy. It loaded for the second module as well, and it's completed. Now let's verify if the SE Linux modules for agent are appropriately loaded or no. So as we can see, these are loaded MFE MA and MFE MA RT. Let's check whether the agent processes are running in SE Linux confinement mode or no. This shows that the SE Linux processes are running in confinement mode. This is how we can configure the agent SE Linux policy to make the product work in an SE Linux environment. With that, let's understand the agent server communication. Trellix Agent communicates with EPO periodically to send events and make sure that all the clients are up to date. These communications are nothing but referred as agent server communication. During each agent server communication, agent collect its current system properties as well as events that have not yet been sent and send them across to the EPO server. The flowchart shows how agent work when installed on the clients. Firstly, we install agent on the client machines through EPO, and upon successful installation, the agent establishes a secure connection between the client and the EPO. EPO uses an industry standard TLS network protocol for secure network transmission. Once the connection is established, EPO downloads the product software to the clients, and Trellix Agent eventually send the client events and information back to the EPO. These are the pointers we just now discussed. To add up, we do have a KB that talks about the secure communication port for EPO server. KB 66797 can be referred for the same. By default, the EPO communication port are port 80 and 443. To get more overview, let's have a look at the demo. We spoke about the default communication port in our last slide. That is something that can be checked under the server setting, and you can search with the keyword port. So here you can see the default communication port is 80 and the default agent server communication secure port is 443. We do have the wake up agent communication port which is 8081, but that is something can be editable based on the requirement. Going back to the system tree, you can see the latest communication time of these system. Let me take any one system and try giving the wake up agent call to this. The last communication time was 8:34. As I have given the wake up agent call, ideally the communication time should change. Let me refresh the EPO page. And as you can see, the communication time has changed to 8:36. We can manually wake up the agent as well from the client system. Let me go to any one of my Linux machine and execute the command. -p switch is used to collect and send properties. And then I will use -e, which is to enforce the policies. -i switch can be used to get the details of the Trellix agent. Here you can see the version installed, the EPO this agent is reporting to, and the port which it is communicating to. We can also get the ASCII information in the MASVC log. I will go to that log location. This is the log I was talking about. Let me cat it and grep it with the keyword ASCII, and it will give me the information when was the agent server communication performed on the system. So as you can see, the last communication which happened was on 17th at 11:41. Let me try giving the wake up agent call and see if the log entry changes. I will use -p and then check back the log again. So here you can see the log entry changed, and the previously it was 11:41 and it changed to 11:42. Let me see the current time of my system. It is 11:43. With this log, we can fetch the successful agent server communication or if there are any issues with that. Let's move on to our next topic, which is to understand provisioning and unprovisioning of agent, or in simpler terms, making the agent managed and unmanaged. When I say managed, that means the client system would be reporting to EPO, whereas a unmanaged system would not report back to EPO and it's gonna be a standalone machine. We have a command line tool called maconfig, which is installed along with the Trellix agent, and its default location is opt McAfee agent bin. With the help of this tool, agent can be provisioned and unprovisioned using the respective command line switches as you can see in the slide. Let's quickly understand it more over the demo. In our previous demo, we installed agent on the machine by generating a package from EPO, and the other way we used is downloading the package from the Trellix product download site and then installing it on the machine. I will be using the same machines over here. First, let's take an unmanaged machine and we'll try to provision it to our EPO server. Let's see if the machine is in managed state or unmanaged state. I will use the -i switch, and here you can see the version of the agent which is 582, and the EPO server list and EPO port list is blank. That means this machine is not reporting to any of the EPO server and it is in unmanaged state. Let's try to provision it to our EPO server. Here I will give my EPO IP address and the port number. Then I will specify my EPO username and the password and hit enter. As you can see, the provisioning has started. And it is now finished. So let me clear the screen and we will again see what is the if it is still showing unmanaged or managed. So here you can see after provisioning it, now the EPO server IP is showing up over here and EPO port is also showing up, which is 443. Now again, if I have to make this machine as unmanaged, I can execute the command and hit enter. Now it is unprovisioning it and the process has completed. Let me clear the screen again and execute the -i command to see the status. You can see it again. The EPO server list and EPO port list is gone. That means the machine has again become an unmanaged state. So this is how we can provision and unprovision the machine to our EPO server. Thank you all. I hope the information shared is useful. Over to you, Revathi.
Thanks, Nitisha. The next topic which we would be discussing for today's session is Agent Health Check. In Linux, this is one of the default built-in tasks, and this task runs every 30 minutes to check the agent process status. This task uses a root account, and this script doesn't cause any kind of performance issue. The command which gets executed is part of the script which is found in /opt McAfee agent script MA. Now, let's see in the demo session how this health check works and how to view the configured cron job. In this demo session, let me stop the services of McAfee agent by executing this command. Now, let me check for the status of it. Now, if you could see, the services are in stop state. This cannot be started again until the services are started manually by executing the command or the lcheck, which has been configured to run every 30 minutes. Until unless this job which we have configured runs, this agent services doesn't get started up. So let me try executing the malcheck command manually to start the services. Command which you have executed now runs the health check. So now when we check for the MA status, the services should be running. You can see that it says that services is already running. Now we can view the cron job configured by executing the command cat /etc cron.t star. Here, if we can see the script, here using a root account every 30 minutes, this is a command which is getting executed. Note, this particular script which gets executed every 30 minutes doesn't hamper any of your day-to-day activities. Let's move on to the next topic, product deployment or the update. This pictorial graph will explain you how to check in the products and assign the task to the machines. We can check in the products or the updates in the API using two options. One, using a software catalog, and another using a manually downloading the package and checking in. Once the required package is checked in, we can create a deployment task and send them to the group or the individual machines as per our requirement. Once the product is installed, we can have the check of the product status in the API. Let's now have a look at what we have discussed in the demo session. Let me now connect to my API console. We can check in the products in two ways. One, by using a software catalog. Another way is to manually download the package and checking in the same. In software catalog, we can view all the latest updates, whichever is available here, and we can select the appropriate package. By using the option check-in, we can check in the packages. First, let me check for the kernel module. Now we can see that kernel module is up to date. And now let me check in Linux threat prevention package using the option check-in. Let's wait for this to get up to date. We could see the package has been checked in using the software catalog. Now, let me show you how to manually download the package and checking in. For this, navigate to product download site, log in with your grant number and the email address which you have registered. Filter it under the filters. Search for endpoint security threat prevention. Since I already have the latest version checked in, let me show you how to check in the endpoint security for Linux firewall. Download the package which you would require. Since I've already downloaded it, I'll now navigate to master repository and manually check in the package. We do have an option called as check-in package. Select it. Using the option product or the update, choose a file which you have to check in. Click on open, click on next. And now here we do have an option to choose the branches. Select the branch which you prefer to check in the package and save it. Once the packages are successfully checked in, we have to send the deployment task to the system. Product deployment can be done in two ways using product deployment option, which is available here. And another option is like using a system tree, select the appropriate group or the individual machine and click on assign client task. And using this option, also you can send a deployment task. Now, first let's see how to send a deployment task using product deployment option. Here, we can create a task check the status of it, check the details of the task, and the completion status also can be viewed here. Let me create one with the name test. Select the package which you have to check in. And here we do have an option to check in for individual machines or the group of machine. Since I have to check into individual machine, I'll be selecting the machine. Click on OK. And here the start time by default it would be run immediately. I prefer to go with that. Hence allow I'll leave this to be same and I'll save the task. Here we can see the status of the task and the ratio of the task, whether it is 100% or if it is 0. By clicking on view task details, you can see the details of the task which we have configured. Status is running. It has been assigned to one machine. Auto update has been disabled. And the package which you have selected is this. Like this, we can see the complete details under the product deployment. Let me show you another way to send a product deployment task to the group or the specific machine. Navigate to System Tree. Select the individual machine where you have to send a deployment task. Click on Action, Agent, Edit Task on a single system. Here, click on New Client Task Assignment. Click on Add to Trellix Agent. Here, we do have two options, one for product deployment, another for product update. Option for product deployment is used to deploy only the managed security products, and the product update is used to update the content of the product. Now, since I'm sending a deployment task to the machine, let me create a new task with the name demo. Select the operating system as Linux, product as endpoint security Linux threat prevention, and let me click on save. Once this has been saved, since I have to send this task immediately, I will choose an option run immediately and save this. Once the task has been saved as a best practice, make sure to give a wake up call so that the deployment of the task which we have created will get moved to the machine immediately. Let me check for the wake up agent status in the server task log. Here we can see the wake up agent status is 100%. If you want to see in detail, you can navigate to the server task log, and here we can see wake up agent is successful. From APO, the wake up call is successful. Let me show you in the client machine how to send a wake up call and how to verify the logs and what are the script it would be calling when we send a deployment or the update task. To send a wake up call, these are the commands which would be used. McAfee agent, send agent IPP. This command are used to send a wake up call from client machine to the EPO. Here, when we send a product update or the product deployment task, there's certain script which gets called up by MC script underscore in use. Here, when we send a product deployment task, this particular script install main.mcs is being called by the process MC script underscore in use. While you send the update task, update main.mcs is the file which has been called by MC script in use process. me show you how to check the status of the task when you send it from the EPO. For this, we have to navigate to our McAfee agent logs. Here, we do have a file called masvc.log. This masvc.log will give you an information of the task which you have sent, whether it has been invoked, successful, or failed. Through this logs, we can find the status of it. In mcscript.log, which is available here, in this log, we can see the update of the task, like product update. Like for example, if you're sending a Madat update, to, if the task is successful or failed, we can see the in detail log entry, like how it got downloaded. There's certain process where McAfee agent follows to download a content or a deployment. Whether all this process has been met or not for the product update can be seen in mcscript.log. While for deployment, product deployment, there is another file called mcscript.deploy.log. We can check for the status here. Now, let me grab with the task which I had created and see in MASVC whether it has been successfully completed or not. At masvc.log. Here, I am grabbing the task name and to the log masvc and seeing the status of it. We can see that the demo task has been successfully invoked and it has been finished. Now, since it's a deployment log, let me navigate to mcscript underscore deploy.log and see whether the agent has been followed the steps which it has to follow. For every task, agent follows the procedure to invoke and respond to the task if it is successful or not. Let me see if this has been followed or not. Actually, first, once this task is scheduled from the EPO, the next step, what agent does is like it makes sure that the task, whichever is created, is being received to the client. Once the client has received the task from EPO, it starts contacting to the repository using the cyclist.xml. And then it tries to download the package. Once the download of the package is successful, this particular task, whatever we have created, it calls for point product detection script to execute. Once the point product executes the script, it tries access to plugins of the point product. And it would start performing the execution of a point product files, like whether it has to, if it is an install, it uses the installation script, upgrade or update script. Once these tasks have been completed, whatever we have invoked, agent tries to create an install log for the task which we have created if it is successful or not. Here in the script, in mc script underscore deploy, we can see since it's a huge file, here we can see it is downloading the file from so and so EPO from the current branch. This is a file which it is trying to download and it is successful. Downloading is successful. And let's see if it is trying to access the plugin. Hmm. Success. And it is trying to execute the script here. And here we can see an entry from script manager saying that upgrade succeeded to the version 10.7.18. This will give us a detailed log entry as to when from where the file has been downloaded and from which branch it has been downloaded, whether it is successful or not. Using referring these logs, we can see if the point product has successfully installed or not in the machine. We shall now see some generic errors and how to resolve them. The first issue which we'll be discussing for today is ASCII failure, agent server communication issue. When we see this issue with regards to agent server communication failure, we have to refer masvc.log, which is available in bar McAfee agent logs. Here in this log, we have to search for the IP address of the EPO and see the ASCII status. Also, in EPO server, we do have a file called server.log. Here, we can search for the IP address of the EPO and see what is the error or the curl error codes which has been recorded in the server.log and compare that with masvc.log will help us to find the source of the problem. And now let's see one of the sample error log which has been taken from masvc.log. Here, the communication between the EPO and the client has been failed with the curl error 28. Same has been highlighted in the red color. If the communication is successful, it writes the response code of 200 or 202. The same can be seen in the below snippet. The log, which has been highlighted in green, shows a successful communication between the EPO and the client and has been sent a response code of 200. Now, to fix the agent server communication issue, we have, as part of troubleshooting, we have to check first if the telnet between the client and the EPO is successful. If the port required communication ports is being opened. If in case yes, check for the ping status. Also, if in case if all these are opened, like if telnet is successful, ports are open, and if the ping is successful and still the communication is failed, we have to pick up the network logs, firewall logs, and see what has caused the issue in the time frame when agent has started communicating to the EPO, and we have to act accordingly. In case if you face that such issues, we would request you to collect Wireshark logs and agent MER log and submit it to tech support team. We will be happy to assist you. Now, let's get into a demo session to see how to resolve the agent server communication issue. In my test machine, let me check how to troubleshoot for the communication issue curl error 28. Let me initiate the call, wake-up call locally from the server using the command /opt McAfee agent, then cmd agent -c. We could clearly see that it is returning up with the error and the command failed to initiate with the error code 1605. Now, let me go to masvc.log and check for the error message. Could clearly see that the client machine has tried communicating to the EPO here and the request has been failed. It has tried communicating over the port 80. It has been failed with the curl error 28, response code is 0. Now, let's try to resolve this issue. Let me check if the port 80 is enabled for the EPO IP address. Telnet. Let me give the EPO IP address. We could see port 80 is not enabled. Let me check for 443 as well. Even 443 port has not been enabled to establish the communication between the client and the EPO server. Now, let me try enabling the port first. sudo -d input -s, and the IP address is 10.26.50.4 -p TCP destination port hyphen prop. Now let me also establish the communication 4443. Okay, let me enable the communication for IP address as well. Let's check the communication over the port 80 using a telnet command. We could see now it is tried contacting and it is connected. Communication is successful over the port 80. Let me check for 443 as well. Communication port 443 is also enabled here. Let me try giving a wake up call now to see what would be the status. I can see now the communication is successful. It has not returned any written code or the error code. Let me see the misvc.log to see what are the log entries written now. What the log? We can see the connection has been initiated to the EPO IP address over the port 80, and the agent handler receives a response code as 200. 200 states the communication is successful. This is how you have to troubleshoot the communication issue or the curl error 28. Next generic issue which we'll be seeing for today is symbolic link issue. That update failures due to symbolic link. Under /etc cma.d, we should be seeing a similar plugins which is available in the snippet. In case if this plugins are missed, this gets into a broken state. The product gets into a broken state. Note, the plugins, if it is blank, for example, whatever the product you install, TIA or ENSL, those plugins should be reflecting under /etc cma.d. In case if it is missed, if it is blank, or by mistake, if you delete it, this breaks up the product. And this is one of the snippet from mcscript.log, which we can see that the task which we have invoked, that update task which has been invoked, did not execute successful, which has been highlighted in red. And the reporting status says that could not find symbol for differencing module. These are some of the error codes which gets recorded in mcscript.log if we see a that update getting failure due to symbolic links. For this, we do have two solutions. One, you have to manually create the symbolic link, or we have to go with the redeployment of the product so that at the time of deployment, the product installs all the required plugins and it would be in a working state. Let's get into a demo session and see what are the logs which gets recorded if symbolic link has been missed. Let me go to my test machine. Here first, let me show you the version which is available, the ENSL and the DAT version. NSL version which is installed is 10.7.17, and that version is 999. The that version has not been updated in this machine. Let me send the dat update task to this machine and see the status if it is successful or if it gets failed with some error message. Let me create a task using the task name so that it would be easy to identify whether if the task has been invoked and the state we can check the status of it. Edit task on a single system. New client task. Product update. Create new task. I'll give the task name as demo and select only the metadata. I'll click on save. I'll do it as run immediately. And I'll provide a wake up call. Once I complete this wake up, let me navigate to the Linux machine and execute the wake up call commands locally once. Let me navigate to MASVC log and check if the, what the and check what is the status of the task which we have pushed. Grep -9 demo. If we can see here, the task demo has been invoked and it is successful. Let me see if the data is updated or not by executing -v command. I still see data has not been updated. Let me go to mcscript.log and check what is the error it is writing up there. We can see here it has agent has followed the procedure which it has to follow when it was trying to execute the script here, and it failed while it is executing the script. Here we can see a message, wow, McAfee agent update, current metdat 100 that.mcs did not execute successfully. This log entry says that metadata is downloaded successfully, but it has failed to execute it. Might be this is one of the reason we can come to a conclusion where plugins are not available in the machine. So let me go to cd/etc cma.d and let me check for the plugin status. Here we can see threat prevention plugin is not available. Now to resolve this issue, we do have two options. One, we have to create a soft link by manually, or we have to redeploy the product. Let me create it manually and show ln-s/etc ma.d /etc cma.d. Let me check if the soft link has been created, symbolic link. We can see it has been created. Let me once cross verify the dat version as well. We can still see the dat version is 999. So let me navigate to EPO console again and send the dat update task for the machine. I'll just select only metdat and let's wait for this task to get completed. The data update has been completed. Let me go to Linux server and cross verify if the data is up to date. We see the data has been updated from 999, it has been updated to 5826. Uh, the version which is available in my API console, it has been updated to that version. So this is how you can fix the data update failure due to symbolic link issue. Hope the information shared in today's session is useful. Thanks everyone for joining for today's session. Over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Revathi and Nitisha. As a reminder for everyone, Trellix Education Services offers exceptional training to go along with our award winning products. If you would like to learn more, please visit the website listed on your screen to see all of our offerings. Are you wanting to learn more about upcoming Trellix product features and innovations? Join Trellix technical experts in a weekly 30-minute Tech Talk webinar series. Every week, you'll get a peek under the hood at Trellix technology and see a short demo spotlighting key capabilities from across the industry's most comprehensive portfolio of cybersecurity solutions. Now let's get our Q&A session started. I see we have several questions, but it's not too late to add your question. Please type it in the Q&A window to submit. Additionally, take a moment to fill out the survey. Your feedback and suggestions are always appreciated. Did product deployment tasks, log entries recorded in EPO?
Let me take up this question. If you send a product deployment task using a product deployment option available in the menu, we would see the log entries in audit log. In case if you go with client task assignment rule, we will not be able to see it in audit logs. Rather, it gets recorded in masvc.log and detailed information can be seen in mcscriptdeploy.log.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one. Is the Trellix Agent bundled with Endpoint Security for Linux?
Let me take this one. No, Trellix Agent is not bundled with ENS Linux package. However, as a prerequisite, Agent needs to be installed first on the Linux machine before we can proceed with endpoint security installation. The agent requirement is basically to perform updates, policy enforcement, etc.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. Can we deploy the Trellix Agent SE Linux package through EPO?
Um, Let me answer this. As of now, we don't have an option to deploy it from EPO. Rather, we do have a standalone package which we can use that and install it manually.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. Is it possible to change EPO agent to server communication ports?
It's a good question. Let me take this one. Yes, we can modify the default port value, which is 443 for the agent server communication. As per the current design, it doesn't allow us to change this port through EPO console once the product has been installed on the system. So the procedure can only be followed on a new EPO installation. So we do have a KB for that, which is KB 72936, which can be referred for the same to get the detailed procedure.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. Can you tell me what error code 503 means?
Yeah. Error code 503 is a response code. This indicates server side problem, meaning the agent communication is reaching to the handler, but due to other devices, which is along with the network path, is getting rejected. So this reports server side issues, refusal on the client on HTTP 503, or it says server might be busy scenario. KB 9063 outlines more details on the response code, so you can refer that KB article.
Could you repeat that KB article number for me?
Yeah, it is KB 9063.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you for that one. What is the response code that you'll see for a successful ASCII?
Let me take this one. For the successful ASCII, we will write the response code as 200 or 202 in the logs.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. What is the switch used to upgrade the agent?
Yeah, let me take this up. The switch which we use to upgrade the agent is -new. You have to just postfix the -new switch when you execute .install.sh file.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. I think we have time for maybe one more question. What is the command to find the agent info in the client machine?
Let me take this one. So we do have a command opt McAfee agent bin and cmd agent with -i. If we are executing -i, that will give us the details about the agent.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. It looks like that's all the time that we had for today's session. I want to thank everyone for sticking around with us after the top of the hour to get to some of the Q&A. It looks like we got to most of the questions. There are a few that are a bit more specific. What we'll do is we'll collect those questions and follow up with you folks after the webinar via email. I want to thank everyone for joining today's webinar, and a big thank you to our speakers, Nitisha and Revathi. As a reminder, a link to today's recorded presentation, will be emailed to all registered attendees. This concludes today's webinar. Stay safe, everyone.